Welcome to Water Street. My name's Kevin, and today what we're going to do is spend some time going through how to make Water Street the most welcoming environment that it can be. We want to do that for both employees and the customers that come in to see us. If you're new to Water Street, welcome to the family. If you're an existing employee, thank you for the work that you do making this a welcoming environment for everyone that comes through our doors. What we're going to do is spend some time thinking about what is it that brings people to Water Street? Why do people come see us? What do they want from that experience? We think we understand it with 3 core values. We're going to spend some time with those today. We're also going to give you some tools that we'll walk through, and those tools will help you make sure that we're providing the best environment that we can. That'll be for employees, for customers, because we want you and everyone to make sure that they have a great experience during their time at Water Street. So with quality, nobody wants to come to Water Street for a bad muffin or boring coffee. That's just not what it's about. People want to have that good quality food. And the creativity piece, that comes in 2 places. The first being that we don't want boring coffee. Like, I could stay home and have boring coffee. We could all do that. But what we do want to do is come to Water Street and have something that's innovative, something that's original, and really enjoy that. The other part of creativity is the space itself. We've intentionally worked to provide a kind of a vibe in the cafe that's creative. So whether somebody is meeting a friend, doing email, or maybe they're writing the next great American novel, when you're at Water Street, you want to be comfortable in that space, and that needs to be a creative spot for you to be. We want to focus on that. And then finally, and most importantly, is community. We want people to be welcome and comfortable when they come into Water Street, because that, of all 3 of those, is going to really keep people coming back. Think about a time when you came into a place where you got together with either friends or family, people that you know really well in a familiar place. What does that feel like to you? What's that moment, what's that vibe feel like? Now think about a time when you walk into somewhere new with people you don't know. Some folks are very comfortable walking into those. Others, there's a fair amount of anxiety around that. But in any case, it's never as comfortable as walking into a group of folks that we know, into a place that we know. That's the vibe that we want for every customer when they walk into Water Street. And that's what we're going to spend our time talking about today. We can achieve that welcoming environment by tailoring the experience to the customer. And we're going to talk about 4 different types of customers, just kind of briefly, to give you an idea about different ways to approach those situations. The first one is the on-the-go customer. The second one is somebody who's there for the experience. We're also going to talk about the regular customer and the new customer. What do we do with each of those situations? So let's start with the on-the-go customer. This is the person who's grabbing that cup of coffee on their way to work, or maybe stepping out of meetings to grab a lunch on the go and get back to the office. In those cases, we're going to want to be polite, but we're going to want to be quick and efficient, get their order through, and move them on their way so that they can get back to their busy day. The there for the experience customer, these are the folks that are there to have a friendly conversation, enjoy the environment. They're probably going to want to spend more time looking at their options, looking at the menu choices, asking questions. They may want to have a conversation with you. Enjoy that time. The next one is the regular. If you recognize a customer, even if you don't know their name, welcome them back. Say, hey, it's great to see you again today. If you know their name, even better. Use it. If you know their regular order, ask, hey, would you like your regular order again today? That's going to be a great bonding experience for that customer, and they're going to know that they're appreciated and that we're happy to have them back. That's an ideal situation. A new customer, there's a lot on the Water Street menu. When you come here, there's a lot of choices. There's a lot of different things. So make sure that you take a little time with them, that you make it clear, offer some options, maybe even make some suggestions, ask them what they're looking for, and then maybe guide them to the thing that they're gonna want so that we know that they have a good experience and they're not surprised by what they end up getting. Aside from providing great customer service, there are other factors that may make someone feel like they don't really fit in. We want to provide you some tools for helping when that happens. Calling dibs, not what you've heard about probably in the past. In this context, DIBS is an acronym for diversity, inclusion, belonging, and safety. And we're going to spend some time on each of those and how they apply to the customer experience. We want to welcome every customer that joins us at Water Street. It's normal as people that we're going to be the most comfortable with people who look, act, and think like us. But at the end of the day, we need to be welcoming of everybody that comes through that door, regardless of their background, their experience. So we want to make sure that we're making that connection. To do that, I want you to remember one thought here, that we're not responsible for our first thought, but we are responsible for our second thought and our first action. So whatever your initial impression of an individual is, we're always going to provide that same level of amazing customer service, regardless of that initial reaction. We're going to take care of them the best we can. The next thing we're going to talk about is inclusion. And we want to make sure that we are intentional about making others feel welcome. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing is pretty straightforward. What we don't want to ever do is refer to someone based on their race, their age, their gender, their height, their weight, or any other protected category. So let's give an example of that. What we would never do is say, this coffee goes to that tall gentleman over there, or that short woman over here, or that elderly couple. Right? We would never want to say something like that about a customer. What we do want to say is, if we've got their name, we want to use that. If we don't, then just referring to them as this customer is the next best option. Sometimes we may have customers where English is a second language or English is extremely limited, just in general. So what do we do with those situations? Well, first, we want to make sure that we are presenting the information to them as clearly and easily as possible. So when we do that, we can point to things. Maybe we show it to them in writing if they can read English. Sometimes that's easier. But in any case, we want to make sure that we're taking the time and being patient enough to communicate with them. One thing to be very careful of in those situations is, because they don't understand what we're saying, they're going to be very focused on our body language. So make sure that if you're dealing with someone who English is a second language, that you demonstrate that your body language that you're patient, welcoming, that you're going to smile, and make sure that they feel included in that conversation in a positive way. Third item in DIBS is belonging. We want to make sure that people feel like they belong. For many, a coffee shop is a naturally comfortable place. For others, not so much. So we want to make sure that everybody is welcomed when they come in. So some ways that people may not feel that they're as welcome as they could be. One would be based on their race, their ethnicity, or their skin color. In those cases, it can be uncomfortable if you walk into a situation where you're the only one who looks like you. That can be a little uncomfortable. We want to make sure that we're making that environment as positive and as comfortable for everyone as we can. Second area is gender identity. If we have a customer that comes in and maybe they present in a way that doesn't line up with your expectation for gender norms, that is something that is not going to make a difference in our experience working with them. We're going to welcome them in either case. And we would encourage you to make sure that you are accommodating to that. It is not appropriate to ask about their situation. I wouldn't even ask necessarily what pronoun they prefer to use. If anything, I would ask what name that they would use and call them by that name. We want to provide that welcoming environment. We have gender neutral restrooms for that purpose. We want to make sure everyone feels comfortable. Another category is sexual orientation. This is something that as a customer really is irrelevant to Water Street, as a customer or as an employee. So gender and sexual orientation is a deeply personal matter. So it's not something that we should ask, that we should assume, or that we should comment on. So if a customer or a coworker chooses to share with you information about that individual's sexual orientation, accept that information and move on. Let's talk now about disability. So we have a customer that comes in, maybe they're in a wheelchair. They come in a wheelchair, observe to see if they need assistance. If they do, if they appear that they might, what we want to do is take the opportunity to offer assistance to them. We want to verbally offer. Before we jump in, we want to ask, would you like our help? If they say yes, then please offer whatever accommodation, whatever assistance that they might request. If they say no, respect that decision. And you may reply with something like, if that changes, let me know. I'm here to help. Do not force yourself upon them. Do not require that they get your help. Give them that choice. They may be working on improving a skill or some other factor where it's embarrassing to them to have that assistance. We want to respect that. So offer assistance, provide it as requested, and make sure that it's a good experience for them. The next category we want to talk about is religion. We have a variety of folks and beliefs that come into Water Street as customers and as employees. In those situations, we never want to assume based on someone's appearance, their dress, what their religious beliefs might be. We also don't want to make assumptions about things that they might order or things that they might not. Leave that up to them to choose. If they make a request, then absolutely we should accommodate that as much as possible or steer them to a product or a service that meets those particular religious needs. As employees of Water Street, one of the things that we don't want to do is to wear or show religious symbols of any kind. We want to have a neutral experience for our customers across a wide variety of religious beliefs. Looks can be deceiving. So when we meet someone for the first time, what we don't want to do is make an assumption about their ability to pay or the reason for being there based on that appearance. If someone is there visiting, maybe they're meeting someone, possibly they're just warming up. If they're there for a short time and we're not so busy, it's fine. If they stay for an extended period or we need the space, at that point, we should approach them, ask if they're interested in making a purchase, and if not, then we should let them know that the cafe is for customers only and encourage them to move on. The next category is political beliefs. Politics can be highly divisive. As Water Street, we want to be neutral in our politics. We want to welcome every customer and every employee, regardless of their political background. So when a customer comes in, maybe they've got insignia or some other kind of political writing on their shirt or their hat or something like that. Let's not comment on that. We don't want to engage in a political conversation or start a debate with the customer. If a customer or another employee wants to engage in a political conversation, steer that conversation into neutral territory. What we want to do is kind of move past that and talk about something that is neutral in approach and have that conversation go smoothly. On that same note, as employees, we ask that you do not wear anything with a political statement on it in the workplace. The last category under DIBS is safety. So we've talked about diversity, inclusion, belonging, and we want to talk about safety now. This is really important that people feel safe in the environment that they're in. If you see a customer who's being bullied or harassed, we ask that you, as long as it's safe to do so, that you step into that situation. A couple of things that you can do there is address the aggressor. One of the things you can do is make it personal. So asking the aggressor, "Hi, what's your name?" is a great way to get them distracted from the situation that they're in and pull them into a more reasonable conversation about what should be done. The other thing that you can do is use distraction to diffuse the situation. So that may look like something as simple as, "Hey, have you tried our muffins? Come on up here." And I have to tell you, from personal experience, Water Street has amazing muffins. They can cure any argument. So offer a muffin, bring them in. The other thing that you can do is remove the other customer from that situation where they're being harassed. Maybe ask them to come with you to remove them from the harasser. If the harasser doesn't seem like somebody that you can address directly, bring the other customer in, move them to another area, offer them a free option, something like that, so that they're removed from that situation itself. And if you need to, you always have the right to ask the customer to leave the shop. If someone isn't treating people the way that we expect people to be treated in our cafe, then we have the right to go to them and say, encourage them to leave. And that may be something as simple as saying, why don't I package up your order to go? And offering it that way. If you need to, don't hesitate to ask for help, whether that's from your manager or whether that's calling 911 if you need to. Do what you need to do, but remember, your safety is very, very important, and that should be the priority. If a situation gets really bad, there's a couple of things that you can do to de-escalate. One, always stay positive in the situation. Positivity is contagious. Use it. And if you are in a situation with a very negative person, keeping yourself positive, keeping your voice calm and your volume low is going to be a good way to counteract that negative and hostile environment. You want to stay calm, and you want to listen to them vent and then repeat back, what is it that you heard was their concern? So you're upset that your order isn't correct. Let us fix that for you. Like, I understand that that's what you're angry about. Let us fix that for you. If they continue, it's acceptable to point out to them, I understand that you're upset and we will fix that, but that doesn't excuse your poor behavior, or doesn't give you the opportunity or the right to use vulgar language in this situation. And again, if we need to ask for assistance, call for help, we are absolutely welcome to do that. Stay calm. And the other thing is, even if you're tempted in a calming manner to make physical contact with a person, maybe you're thinking about putting your arm on their hand on their shoulder. It's okay, like it's going to be okay, or something like that, or touch them on the arm. Don't make physical contact. That will only escalate the situation. So be careful to not do that. Even though that's often human nature to engage in those behaviors, want to make sure no physical contact. And again, don't hesitate to call for help if you need it. So let's summarize that for a minute. So we spent some time going through the different categories of DIBS. That includes diversity, inclusion, belonging, and safety. When our customers or employees come into our cafe, we want to welcome a wide diversity of people. We want to make sure that they feel included. We want to make sure that they belong there and that they're comfortable there, and that everyone that comes through our doors is safe when they're there. And that includes you. So we want to include all of those things in the concept of DIBS. As an employee of Water Street, you really are the face of Water Street to the community and to the rest of your coworkers. So let's make sure that we're providing the most welcoming environment that we can while you're doing that. Today we went through some tools, and hopefully those tools will help you provide that environment and be easier for you to do that. Because at the end of the day, we want everyone to feel like a friend to Water Street. Thanks. Appreciate you joining us today.